What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another solo leveling Arise video. Promised tier list, so here it is. But before we go to the tier list, I'm going to give you guys the codes that are currently available. Now, the last one, you're going to have to try both to see if it works. But the first one is Stay Sharp. Shout out to CM Prism, who gave us an hour of useless No, it's not useless. I was just joking. It was entertaining to get this code. So Stay Sharp is 25k gold and 1 gate key. World first level up is probably the most important one. It's 300 essence stones, and then THXSLVARISE for 200k gold, or try the second one. I'm pretty sure the first one's the right one, but try both. The first one doesn't work, try the second one. But those are the current active codes going on in the game, so make sure you use those to take advantage of them. I know a lot of people are asking how to do it on iOS. You have to actually go to the Netmarble forums, and there's a coupon registration section. That's where you do it. For everybody else, settings, account, and then there's a redeem option there, iOS and PC, okay? All right, so let's get into the tier list. This is what you guys are all been waiting for. So, real quick, a disclaimer about rares. Rares are not useless, hence why I put them in a rare section. The rares maxed out can do quite a bit of damage and also push you pretty far for hunters as well as a Sun Jinu, but they do eventually get a little bit less powerful as you get to mid game, so SRs will start taking over. So I'm gonna put them there. I'm not gonna rate them. They're fairly good. You can use them if you need them, and then just eventually salvage them and get all your materials back. Okay, so not a bad option to go with. So they're all viable, but again, SRs will completely outpower them eventually and outshine them. But dupes will give you guys more abilities to use rares. Now let's go into the SR hunter weapons. I have a couple different tiers. SS for broken, SOP, A very good, B good, C can be useful, and D useless. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, there really aren't any useless, I guess, weapons, but if there is going to be one at all, it's going to be this one here, and that's the shield. This one gives you damage off from bosses, so damage reduction on bosses. Pretty useless overall, and I wouldn't really recommend using it, but that one right there, this is actually a very good weapon. This one here is whenever you do a QTE, it increases your power gauge, which is your ultimate bar, so not a bad option there. This is a much better option though, and that's going to be allowing you to increase your power gauge altogether no matter what you do, so that's the better of the two options for sure. If we're going to go with the elemental sword, this is also a very good weapon. This one actually increases all of your elemental damage anytime you do elemental weakness damage to an opponent, but that's the caveat. It has to be elemental weakness damage. And then the bow here is probably the best one in my opinion, which gives you crit damage overall, so high crit damage for any high crit damage users. The basic attack weapon is not bad, but it's only limited to people who actually benefit off basic attack, so think of like SM Beck, Limb, etc., right? So still a good weapon though for hunters. This one here is core damage. I put this in B probably because not a lot of characters currently are based off of core damage, but it does increase it, so SM Beck is another good option right there. Dong Su is another good option right there, right? And then of course that will end up the SR hunter weapons. Now, a lot of you guys keep asking which SR hunter weapon should I choose for where. Well, the way you look at it is you see what scales off of what, right? So if I go into my skills, for example, like this is HP and precision, so this is gonna be better for HP characters like Min, for example. Min also, every time he does a QTE, he also increases the power gauge, so you're giving him an extra power gauge increase there. So that's how you base it. Anyone who does defense, for example, so Dong Su, and I meant he does more core attack damage, and this actually increases his core attack, and he scales off of defense. So that's where you give him that, right? So anyone who does power gauge increase, for example, you want to do this. Min's another good option for that one if you want to just put this on him instead. And then you have attack with crit damage, so Cha comes to mind when you do something like this. So that's how you gauge it. Look at their stats and then look at their hunter weapon skills, and then you gauge it that way from there and see who benefits from what, okay? So that's essentially how you work this out. Now, the next part, let's go back to this, is going to be the SR hunter or Jinu weapons. Now, Jinu's weapons, SR, please do not salvage them. Stop doing this. Stop killing yourself. SR weapons are more powerful than some SSR weapons, okay? So don't neglect them and don't sleep on them, guys. They're very, very important. So we're going to start off with a couple ones here. So Baruka's Dagger, I'm going to put an A. The reason why it sits in A instead of S is because you need to get to A3 to A5 to really see the benefits. Now, when I say A3 or A5, that's advancement. So that's the amount of dupes you need to make it viable, okay? And that's where it really shines. A5 specifically, you can get up to 100% crit easily by using this weapon whenever you do back attacks. But before that, sits in A, okay? Let's go Golem Hammer. Even with the buff, it's gotten better damage, better shielding. Overall, still too slow for an attack move, but it has definitely gone up in status. In terms of can be useful sometimes, the Orc Broadsword, even though they did buff it, it's still not as good. Still requires you to kill opponents, unfortunately, to really take advantage of it. So if you're not killing anybody, it's not doing enough damage to justify using it. The sword, the SR weapon, actually the SR Fire Sword, the Dragon Sword, is not bad. The domain got increased a little bit, so it does make it a bit better, but overall still not a very good weapon. Let's see what else we have here. Let's go with the classics here. The Kasaka Dagger. This is actually a very good weapon. I'm going to put this in OP. Bleeds, poisons, you get a lot of copies for free of it. One of the best SR weapons in the game, should definitely be using it. Another very good SR weapon is the Freeze Sword here, which actually does a good replacement for the Grimoire if you don't have it. So if you're looking to freeze and do erosion, which does more damage to freezing opponents, this is a great weapon to have as well too. Let's see, what else could be in SR? Oh yeah, here we go. The Grimoire. The Fire Grimoire is actually really good. Not as good as Orb of Avarice, but still one of the best SR fire weapons out there, and there are quite a few of them. The Dark Gun, I'm going to put an A as well too, a little bit below. This is actually a cool weapon because it activates your QTEs, but requires A5 to really shine, and at the same time, there's just way too many good SSR dark weapons, so it kind of falls off because of that, right? Now, the SR of Lustrous Sword is a very good sword, one of the main swords you're going to use in the game in regards to beating Igris. Is free to play because it's given to you for free through the challenges, so definitely use it if you have it. The Night Killer got buffed recently, so definitely a fun little sword to use. A good fire weapon, again, not as strong as the Grimoire in my opinion still, but still up there and can now, with the buff, be used even more than before. And then the last SR weapon here we have that's in the A section is going to be the Trident, which is one of your best water weapons, and it's very similar to the Grimoire in regards to leaving bubbles behind, which is burst, so you can do double the damage using that. So those are your best OP SSR weapons, and then we have the top tier SSR weapons. Okay, so let's start off with the Demon Javelin. One of the fastest weapons, one of the best light weapons in the game. Definitely use it if you have it. You should be using that one as often as you possibly can if you don't have the Lustrous Sword. But one weapon that's a little bit better than it is the bow. So the Riduru bow is probably the best SR light weapon in the game. Does a stun when you eventually get it to A1 or 2, I believe, and then it also does insane amounts of damage and also has good range, so very, very powerful. Then the Orb of Avarice here is going to be your best fire weapon for SR, in my opinion, best fire weapon period in the game at the moment. And then still broken AF, even with the nerf, West Wind. That's right, still the best wind weapon in the game in my opinion. Easily, like by far. Best burst damage still, even with the nerf, guys. If you want to go check out the video, I already made a video about the before and after. It was made yesterday. You guys can go check that out, okay? All right, now that we've done the SR weapons, go to the SSR Hunter weapons. We'll do these ones fairly quickly. Jinchul, because the character that he is, he's going to get an A. Still not a bad SSR weapon. Min, we're going to give him an A or an S for top tier. Dong Su, also an S. Lim, I'm going to give him an SS because I like his weapon. Choi, SS. Emma, SS. Sao, you have to build her with crit damage, which most of you should be doing that, so you can put her SS, but if you don't build her with crit damage, it just becomes an S. So it depends on how you build her. That's where it's going to belong. So because of that requirement, we'll put it there. Libora is also going to get S. Chop definitely gets SS. SM Beck, SS. And regular Beck, SS. Okay, there you guys go. So that's the setup for the Hunter weapons. Okay, so for those wondering who should cast, technically this can go up here as well too, but let me see one thing. Hold on a sec. Sorry, guys. Let me go back to this one. If they fix the percentage, they did. Yeah, no, we're going to give this SS now. They did change it. I don't know if they changed the percentage of the weapon, but there you guys go. That's what it's going to look like, okay? All right, and then so remember, if you're going to use SR weapons for your hunters, just remember what I explained earlier when you saw the SR portion. That's how you assign those weapons if you don't have the crafting tools to actually get these for them, okay? So there you guys go. All done. Now, down to the SSR section. Okay, so Demon Longsword got buffed. It definitely is much stronger now. So this is finally going to get its place at the top tier. Vulcan, still going to be S right here, just because it's still slow as hell. But if you get enough A versions of it, it will go up one rank, but not by too much. Huntsman, definitely going to get an S right here, or sorry, SS. Very good light weapon with break. And these last ones here are pretty much top tier. So you guys can see here, you have a lot of top tier options. And they're all very, very viable. Okay, so Plum Sword, Scythe, I'd put it like almost like this. Like that maybe. And then Dagger. And now the reason why Dagger gets a little bit lower in status compared to these ones is because it's mostly relative to dark weapons, and that's where you're going to see it shine. All right, guys. So there is your complete tier list for weapons. As you guys can see, you have a lot of good options to finish this game. I finished this game using West Wind and Kasaka daggers, and it was a breeze. it was a breeze as my free-to-play player. So make sure, guys, the big thing with Westwind, remember, even though it is nerfed, it's still going to be, actually this should probably go right about here. This here is still going to be a broken weapon, but you need to get it to A3 to really see it shine. A0 to A2 are still really good. A3, it's just broken bonkers. A5, use that as your main weapon. You'll get through the game without anything else. All right, guys, the Payne, hope you enjoyed the video. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Take care.